Have you ever met the guy that you wanted to hate? And when you went to pull your straps up, he told you to wait. Now let me give y'all a little demonstration. See, I ran into these dudes from the Aryan Nation. It was a Friday, my day, exit off the highway. Me and derelict in the caddy, yo, the flyway. Went to get a package of beaties. I was enjoying this immaculate evening. All of a sudden I heard somebody in the back of us beeping. Kind of annoying, like a track is repeating. Say yeah, mo, harass some blacks this weekend. Well, me and D, we was actually creeping like some G's. We parked. I ain't never sleeping like MDs. Then I felt this crazy vibe, and I'm thinking maybe why. Enter a white crazy guy with crazy eyes and a partner ready to start the Armageddon. F around and get it by the arm, nigga, leg or arm ahead. Don't wanna have to go to war like this was Mecca. I'm only trying to broaden your perspective.
Peace and love. This is yours truly, General Pow Shadowz of the House of Hip Step, also known as Author P.E. McCallum, author of the book NGR, What Does It Mean? An expose on the N-word from a hip-hop perspective, available on Amazon right now. So I suggest you run out and get your copy. We're back with another good and informative video today. And I'm excited because once again, we're doing this, we're going deep into a hip-hop perspective of the N-word. And as you know, on this platform, I discuss the origins, the etymology of the N-word, the history of it, but also the social issues surrounding the N-word, race relations and things of that nature, and the N-word in media, hip-hop, and all these different things. And that brings me to today's topic. We're going to be, once again, reviewing an interview like I did a couple episodes ago, where I replayed an interview and we dissected it. We go into it because this is a good interview between two people who I'm subscribed to on YouTube, and that is Willie D of the Ghetto Boys, and also Choke No Joke. Choke No Joke, Chiggy Choke No Joke. I've been subscribed to him for quite a long time, and he always gives some good perspectives on issues surrounding hip-hop, the Black and Indigenous community, and etc. So I thought it'd be a good idea to review of this video about a conversation about the N-word about between them two. Because you know Willie D, if you've been keeping up with Willie D, even though he comes from the Ghetto Boys, and that hip-hop group was very raunchy, and they used the N-word quite a bit in their music back in the day when they were out in the 90s and 2000s. Well, late 80s or early 90s and up into the 2000s. And they use the N-word and also a lot of violence in their music. But since then, Willie D has taken a different stance on the N-word. He's joined a lot of our elders in the ideology that the N-word is bad, that the N-word should no longer be used by people within our community. And he despises the N-word, like I talk about in my book. And you know, I do mention Willie D in my book in the hip hop section on the N-word, because of his harsh stance, his tough stance against the N-word. So I had to talk about that in the book. But you know, I think that let me say this. I always like to preface, you know, my videos by reminding everybody, you know, where the N-word comes from, right? And reminding everybody that the N-word originally comes from NGR. NGR appears in the hieroglyphics over 14 times, all right, according to author E.A. Wallace Budge, and it meant deity, god or goddess, king, queen, ruler, things of that nature. You know, it also comes from Negus in ancient Ethiopia, or the ancient land of Kush, and it meant monarch, ruler. So you have NGR in the hieroglyphics, which contained no vowels. In the hieroglyphics, there were no vowels, only consonants. So that's why it appears as NGR. And then in the ancient Ge'ez language in ancient Ethiopia, land of Kush, you have the word Negus, Negus or NGS, which means monarch or ruler. But of course, the N-word as of today has become to be known as the most offensive word in the English language after it was translated by the Europeans, particularly first the Greek, and translated into Latin. You find early origins in European languages in Niger, and then later you have you know, words like Negro, And, later you have the Nigger version, which was more popularized by the British. And I go into all that into my book. But today we want to explore another topic, another aspect of the N-word, and that's why is it that Black and indigenous people can use the N-word and white people cannot, right? We tend to be able to be in a phenomenon where we can use the N-word, and we see this, and we've seen this for many years, where Black people can use the N-word and white folk just, if they, for instance, let me be specific. If you hear somebody say the N-word in hip hop, right, in rap songs, for example, and we use it, nobody bats an eye. It's okay, But if we were to say or call another nationality the N-word, right, then we're gonna be ostracized. That song is not gonna get played. Like, let's take Michael Jackson for instance, and Choke No Joke actually talks about it in the interview, a situation with Michael Jackson. So with no further ado, since he kind of brings that up, let's get into the interview. But here's what I want y'all to focus on today. Here's what we're focusing on: is why can Black people use the N-word in rap music and comedy? Like Dave Chappelle can use it on his show, and a lot of people may think that Dave Chappelle and the Chappelle Show was the first show to use the N-word like they did on his show quite frequently, right? Like from the very first show, in the first episode with Clayton Bigsby, the black-white supremacist, that Dave Chappelle and the Chappelle Show threw the N-word around like it was going out of style. But the Chappelle Show was not the first show to use the N-word in that fashion. Before him, years and years before Dave Chappelle, the Richard Pryor Show used the N-word in the same capacity. It was produced by a man by the name of Burt Sugarman. And I was trying to find out, why did Burt Sugarman allow Dave Chappelle to allow Richard Pryor, who also had writers like Paul Mooney writing for him, why did he allow them to use the N-word? And why did network television allow them to use the N-word like that? But yet we can't, use words against another community, any ethnic word, like, any derogatory words to describe Jews, for instance. They're coming for you. They're coming for that head. And they've shown us this. Other groups of people would not tolerate it. But why is it that Black people can use it in hip hop and in comedy? Why can we use it and other people, you can't get away with using other terminology and things of that nature? And there's a reason for that. And we're going to get into why that is. All right, before we're over, we're going to figure out together, why is that? Let's go.
They not gonna rob their own people. This is why Michael Jackson couldn't say Jew or kike on his shit, right? They got mad at him for it, but we could say nigga all day, and we could kill each other all in our music, and they'll put it out. But as soon as we say something about Jewish people or something like that, you're Kanye. That's why Kanye just pushing the envelope, right? Oh, I can say nigga all day, but let me say something about you. Let me put on the swastika and just to see what they gonna do. And what they do, they shut them down. You can't do that. But I can say nigga all day.
Like I said, there's a specific reason for that. And we're gonna go into why that reason just may be. Why is it that Michael Jackson that Kanye can say nigga in a hip hop song, but as soon as he says it in another calls another group of people or a derogatory word, he gets shut down? There's a reason for that.
Culture vultures. They don't give a fuck about us. They want to rape us. This is why streaming is 1 for you, 1 for me. 2 for you, 1, 2, 2. It ain't even, them niggas 4, 8, 12 for me. 3 for you, motherfucking 12, 24, 36 for me.
Is it hypocritical for Black folks to complain about others using the N-word and they use it so frequently?
Good question.
Yeah. Somewhat. You know what I'm saying? When we grew up, our parents ain't like us saying the word nigga, right?
Talk about that all the time.
We get in trouble for it.
I talk about that all the time on this
around our
platform.
mothers and grandmothers because it meant something different to them. You know what I'm saying?
I talk about that all the time on this platform and also in my book about how the elders feel about the N-word. Choke, no joke. Just verify what I was saying. Back me up on that. So our elders, in particularly in the black community, hate using the N-word. They hate, they really despise it. Our elders in particular. But you have to think about the history of the N-word with them. Many of them were called that to their face while they were trying to just go to school. My grandmother talked about how, my grandmother and my mom talked about how they would be walking on the streets and the white kids would be spitting at them, you know, from the bus and calling them the N-word from the bus and stuff like that while they were walking to school. Yeah, our ancestors, our elders went through that. So it's no wonder that they despise the word, but let's go.
For us, it means something different to us growing up. You know what I'm saying? Because after NWA, you know what I'm saying? NWA dropped, and before they dropped, it was people wasn't really even cursing in their music. After NWA, you know, it kind of became cool to say nigger, or people, the sheep followed it, and then the cursing. Then I turned around, MC Light cursing on the music. I'm like, what? The MC Light cursing now? You know what I'm saying?
But you know what I
NWA, all right? Take note. He talked about NWA. And I have a whole section in my book. And people tend to, you know, a lot of people blame NWA for everything that's wrong in hip-hop. All right? They blame, NWA gets blamed for the drill music era and the gangster rap era that was produced that came out of hip-hop. And I do understand and see the argument for that. But also NWA is blamed for the N-word being used in hip-hop because they were the first group that kind of put the N-word out into the atmosphere, into the environment, right? And they get the bad rap for using the N-word. But I want to cover a section in my book I wrote specifically on NWA, because you can't talk about the N-word from a hip-hop perspective without talking about niggas with attitudes, right? I like to also say that, look, fam, I really disagree with the idea that NWA is completely what's wrong with hip-hop. All right, let me put that out there, because I think people forget that NWA also had songs like Respect Yourself, Dope Man, Gangsta Gangsta, where at the end of it, you know, Ice Cube goes to jail for all the activity. They had songs like Real Niggas Don't Die, The Day the Niggas Took Over, which was about the Rodney King riots. How many niggas are ready to loot? I'ma be a nigga for life. Why do I call myself a nigga? You ask me. I mean, these songs, they were dealing with the N-word head on. They were dealing with issues in the black and indigenous community head on. They were really like trying to talk about these social issues. Fuck the Police was a conscious revolutionary song. But yet NWA gets blamed negatively for all things negative in hip hop. And I really disagree with that aspect of NWA. But let's talk about this. This could be found on page 75 in my book, NGR, What Does It Mean? An expose on the N-word from a hip-hop perspective. Artists like the Furious Five, Eric B. and Rakim, Public Enemy, and NWA, Niggas with Attitudes, would be an excellent resource for anyone looking to gain more insight into black and indigenous culture. I want to shine some light on NWA and their contribution to understanding the N-word. As I mentioned earlier, hip-hop artists from the East Coast to the West Coast have used the N-word in their lyrics, but NWA is a flagship group for the N-word. In real time, I recall group members explaining what their name meant. And when they said niggas with attitude, my jaw dropped. I couldn't believe a group would be that bold about using the N-word. The explanation was insightful, though controversial. They said that since the racist establishment considered them as niggers anyway, they were going to be niggas with attitudes. I thought that was genius, but of course, hearing them call themselves niggas was shocking, and I had no idea at that time that the word nigger came from ancient Kemet and Kush, and that historically it was not offensive to black and indigenous people. Let's unpack that for a second. So again, NWA said that since the racist establishment considered them as niggers anyway, they were going to be niggers with attitudes. And I thought that was genius, right? And again, niggers with attitudes would be kings or gods and goddesses with attitudes if you were to use the N-word in its appropriate context of where it originally came from, which is ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, right? The ancient lands of Africa. That's where it came from. Today, niggas means something totally different, right? But let's continue. So again, the whole reason that NWA called themselves niggas with attitudes, it was a conscious attitude behind it. Since the racists were calling us niggers, we're going to be niggas with attitudes. We're not going to say niggers with attitudes. We're going to say it the way we say it. Niggas with attitudes. Since y'all say we got attitudes, we niggas, then we, yeah. Since y'all going to call us niggas anyway, yeah, we niggas with attitudes. What?
Well, as far as the N-word is concerned, when I grew up, as hood as I was and the environment that I grew up in was, my mama didn't use the N-word. And she didn't even when she watched television and watched white folks on TV, she never used derogatory words to describe white folks.
Right.
So that's why, the trip of his trip part about it though, when I was growing up, I never used those type of words to describe white folks. But I picked up the N-word because of our environment that I was in outside of home.
Mm-hmm.
So I peppered my music with the N-word. But as I got older, I realized, man, how it was really like, it was anti-productive. I realized that, and I really started internalizing that word, man. And I grew to
Anti-productive.
really despise it. And even so, I still will use the word, but when I say the word, it ain't no term of endearment.
Right.
If I call you a N-word,
Right.
I am looking at you as a despicable piece of,
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Right.
But
that's where we are now with the N-word.
Start taking on these terms. How much of that are we actually responsible for, though?
We responsible for all of it.
Yeah.
We definitely responsible for all of it.
That's where we are. So like Willie D just said, and again, everybody run over and subscribe to his channel, Willie D's YouTube channel. And also Choke No Joke as well. Like he said, he grew to despise the word. He used to use it, but as time went on, he's grown to despise it. So even though I wrote the book on the N-word and I'm giving you all of the history of it, it comes from ancient Africa. We used it first. It meant something aggrandizing to our people. It meant something positive. It meant God or goddess. When you call somebody the N-word, you're really calling them a god. You're really calling her a goddess. These are the facts. Even though this is where the N-word came from, and these are the facts. Today, since the Europeans translated it to Niger, since the British translated it to nigger, since at a time in the Webster dictionary you could find the N-word and it meant a lazy person, ignorant person. It doesn't mean that now. There was a time in Webster's dictionary, or in the English dictionary, where you would look up the word nigger and it meant lazy, ignorant. Many of y'all watching this video remember what I'm talking about. That no longer is the case. Now when you look it up, according to today's definition, it is an offensive word towards a black or African American person or people of African American descent. It is a derogatory term. That is the definition of the word nigger today. Not lazy, not ignorant, like you may think it is. A lot of y'all think right now, I know you do, because that was in the dictionary. I remember reading that. I'm an educator. I remember reading that to some youth in a class that I was teaching one day. I pulled out the dictionary that was in the class, looked up the word nigger in that English dictionary, and it said an ignorant person or a lazy person. Some of the white people, some people of European descent that I was interviewing about my book, when I was writing the book, I was asking them what they thought the word nigger meant. And they were saying, I just thought it meant a lazy person, something you don't want to be. Ignorant person. No, not anymore. That's not what it means now. It has changed. Definitions of words change. The definition of the N-word has changed. Now it means a derogatory term used to describe a black or African American person, or an offensive word. That is the definition. It's not lazy or ignorant anymore. But so the word no longer has a positive meaning. It's totally degrading now. Totally degrading. So the meaning of the word has been shifted. Completely changed. Like I talk about in previous videos, just like the swastika. The swastika used to mean good fortune and well-being. Originally it was svastika. But now it's something totally derogatory to a Jewish person. Right? Primarily, but represents all minority, derogatory and hate towards all minority peoples from the Aryan or the white supremacists. Let's go.
But as you can see, the labels, they didn't stop us from saying it. If they would have said, yo, you can't say the word nigga in your music, we would have found ways of making music without saying it.
Right.
They wanted us. They ushered, they fueled it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Niggas for life. Niggas with attitudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, they fueled it. They could have told us, no, you can't say that. Just like you can't say nothing derogatory about Jewish people, right? They could have said that, yo, you can't talk about your people like that. You cannot use the word like that. If Martin Luther King was Jimmy Iovine, you think we would be saying No. If Malcolm X was Jimmy Iovine or Leo Cohen, do you think we would be rapping like that? No. Do you think these dudes would have been wearing dresses?
So, once again, I suggest everybody go and subscribe to Willie D's platform. Willie D Live Conversations is the name of the platform, and also Choke No Joke. Subscribe to his platform. And again, like he said, NWA, niggas with attitudes. He blames NWA for using this and says that if those white executives who put NWA on told them that they couldn't use it, would they have used the word? And what I like to offer to this conversation right now is that, see, the thing about that is this. I think, and I have to share my opinion on this, I think that the reason we were allowed to use the N-word, the NWA, for instance, to be specific, was allowed to use the N-word in their hip-hop, in their music, and why these white executives or these Jewish executives allowed them to do that, but wouldn't allow Michael Jackson, for instance, to say "kike me," because they have given us the freedom to define what the N-word means to us as black and indigenous people. So because we accept it, the more conscious white people know that the word has been an atrocity that their people have used towards and against us. But yet they see us using it as a term of endearment, hear us using it in our music, amongst each other in our circles, right? In our community. So we obviously give the impression that it's okay for us to use it. So when they give us these shows, like when they gave Richard Pryor the show, which he used the N-word on his show a lot on network television. Dave Chappelle used it a lot on network television. They were going with what's popular and what's accepted in culture. Because so they saw that it was accepted among us using it among ourselves. So they said that it's acceptable to show that on network television, us using it. You didn't see white people using it on network television in a derogatory way against us. But they were allowed to say it in skits for purpose of the skit. And I saw white people using it and nobody batted an eye. But because they were using it, it was understood they were using it for the purpose of the skit on Richard Pryor's show and Dave Chappelle's show. But if it were not accepted among us in our community and among our people, they would not allow us to use it. They only going on what it's to them, it's being progressive. They like, okay, well, it's okay among them, so go ahead and say it. On the network show, yes, it's your show. It's okay within your culture. Go ahead. The reason that black people can say the N-word like Dave Chappelle, like the Richard Pryor show, and get away with it on network television and say it in their music, in their hip hop, in songs, and why we can do it today is because we have accepted it in our culture, and we have told white people in other cultures that it's okay for us to use it, but not for them to use it. We have defined that. They have allowed us to define that. So as soon as we decide that it's no longer acceptable within our culture, among us and our people, then it won't be. And that's my take. That's my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that that's from my observation, my personal research that I've seen on the word. This is why black people are allowed to use the N-word in hip hop and music, on television shows and etc. But white people, but black people are not allowed to use the word kike, or I'm not going to even mention these other derogatory words, but you know, any of these derogatory words, you know, because they have made it very clear that if you use those words against their community, toward their people, about their people, you're getting shut down. They made it very clear. So if we have made the same thing clear within our community, it would be a different situation, be the same thing. You would get shut down. But we allow it. It's what we say. So just remember, it's up to us. We are controlling the narrative. I suggest everybody run out and get my book, NGR, What Does It Mean? An expose on the N-word from a hip-hop perspective, so that you can control the narrative of the N-word. When people call you the N-word, you no longer react defensively and things like that, but you now control the narrative. All right? That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So, yo, I want to encourage all of y'all to keep hip stepping, right? Which is simply just stepping over any obstacle, any opposition that gets in your way. You just hip step right over them. Keep moving. It's a mentality. It's a mentality. You know what I'm saying? And spread love, not hate. All right? The world needs more love in the world. We got enough hate, don't we? Hate us.